Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Prospect Central 101. My name is Chris, and today I'm going to be taking you guys through a little bit of Paulson Adebo. He is a third-year sophomore out of Stanford, and he is listed approximately, of course, this is only September, at 6'1", 189. So a little bit small on the weight side, but definitely has the height and length that you would want to see from a boundary corner. So third-year junior, also probably very young as well, which is kind of cool. Or third-year sophomore, I mean. Yeah, this should be very interesting. I have actually not watched many Stanford games this year yet, and I don't remember watching that many last year other than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So this should be pretty cool for me. Really, I think this is probably my first exposure to him. I definitely don't remember watching him specifically last year. So, with that being said, also Detroit represent, born in Detroit, Michigan. So for those of you guys who are also from Michigan like me, that's a pretty cool fact. But for now, let's get into the tape and break down these 218 games from last season. Also, he is, at this time, I'm recording this in middle September, pretty much widely thought of as cornerback one, which is interesting because he kind of came on over the last couple of weeks. Preseason, it was really Bryce Hall versus Christian Fulton, and he's really thrown himself up there in the top 10 potentially draftable range as of today. So we'll see how his stock continues to rise and or fall over the course of the season. Okay, already versatility in coverage, which is pretty cool. Okay, I like the idea of the run fit here. Does a nice job of getting in the gap. Nice patience. We'd like to see a little bit more active hands, but not a huge deal, especially over only one play so far. Nice clean feet. Nice clean feet. Miles Boykin, an NFL caliber receiver as well. I believe he's starting actually already for Baltimore. Okay, so it looked like the receiver was able to create some separation there. Unfortunately, kind of hard to see exactly how given the timing of the play, but oh, nice sack evasion by Ian Buck. Oh yeah, that is interesting. So he's just gonna get completely blown off here. And this, of course, again, as I mentioned, is Miles Boykin. He is definitely one of the better blocking receivers in last year's class. And he just gets driven, no anchor. A nice recovery and decent attempt at a block shed. So, not a horrible end to the play, but yeah. Would be preferred if he gave up a little bit less ground. Oh, challenging him over the top. Great positioning. Excellent play by Adebo here. Boom. Okay. Just start to finish. Excellent play. And look at where he is, even at this point in the play. Perfect positioning, right where you want him to be. You cannot be much more in phase than that. I talked about this in the Jalen Johnson video I just recorded also. Which should have gone up, I think, last week from the time that you guys are seeing this. But Paulson Adebo does a great job here of getting right in phase with the receiver. I think that might be Claypool, and knocking that out. Great ball tracking as well. You notice him watch this ball all the way through the play. Even at this point in the play, he's already tracking. And that's part of what allows him to get in position to make this play. Gets his hands in front. Boom, nice follow through with the hands as well. Very nice technical job there by Adebo. Also, if it's Adebo, I apologize, I have not seen him yet, actually. I think I said that already, but some of these last names they're kind of multi-pronounceable upon first read. Okay, I like how he was at least willing to play downhill. This is, as I mentioned, I just recorded the Jalen Johnson video. He did not do this. This is something you're going to see Adebo do. Nice shot filling the gap as well, right? And tackle and forces him out. That was quite far off for second mid. Not his call, but that was great play rec by the Utah defender there on the. Okay. Good clean back pedal. Third and 17, just protect sticks at this point. Now come downhill. Nice. Good read. This Utah defense is really underrated. Nice. I like this. So what he's going to do here is he's going to recognize this gap. He's going to see the this right guard, I think it is, get down the a little bit further back into the pocket, or what would be the pocket on pass play, and Adebo here just does a really nice job of filling that gap and pursuing backside. Really nice play on his part there to fill that gap if there were a run play in that particular area. It's good awareness. Nice tackle. You're getting a lot of pressure. Now, one thing I will say is, first off, good on Utah's defensive coordinator for scheming pressure. That should be said. Second off, good on these Utah players for being able to win against a talented Notre Dame offensive line. And third off, that says quite a bit about the coverage as well. These guys are consistently getting against both teams so far. And part of that is because these defensive backs are able to stay in their coverage for an extended period. Man, this slant route is so hard to defend. He just gives up a step, and it's an easy catch. The only real thing that you can kind of do is predict that to come and get your inside leverage. Nice pass by Book. Okay, looks like zone coverage play. Another looked like cover 4 type of play. Oh, okay. I like the idea. He was at least aggressive in pursuing downhill. Nice, good coverage. How many plays has Ian Book had a clean pocket? It definitely has not been very many. Oh, good coverage by the other corner. And like I talked about, ooh, nice. Forcing the receiver out of bounds. Like I talked about Jalen Johnson, so far it seems like Adebo is another one of those guys where he kind of seems to be doing more consistent type of work and coverage more than making these flashy plays, which is honestly more important anyway. I would rather you give up no catches and have no interceptions than give up 10 catches and have a pick. Nice playing downhill. Getting kind of blowing off the line a little bit, but not a huge deal. Oh, I really like his aggressiveness. Another rhetorical question, how many times have they gone after him, right? That's probably the first target that we've seen this entire quarter. 14 minutes in, and that was mainly because it was a comeback route that he was playing the vertical stem on, which allowed for natural separation. Corners to me are almost like offensive linemen, in a way that the less you see them or the less you hear of them, more often than not, the better they are, unless they're getting like 3 picks or making a bunch of pass deflections or whatever. There's a better chance that you're going to hear a corner cover because they allowed a catch than because they got an interception. So, generally being avoided, or in some particular cases, making contested plays like this, is probably not the worst sign for a corner. It looks clean. Probably could work on a little bit of the efficiency. He could probably be a little bit more direct. I do like that first step though. Like, he got the first down. You have to give him that. Oh, interesting screen call. That could have been PI. Oh, that was a well drawn up pick play. And the other thing too to keep in mind with some of this stuff is some of these times like, these corners are just going to get beat, and that's going to happen. If you're playing outside leverage and the opposing calls a slant, you're giving up a step and you're actually going to get beat. Or if it's a screen pass, there's a very good chance, unless you jump the screen, that you are going to give up a catch at minimum. So sometimes things just happen, and like the comeback route we saw, right? I mean, if you're playing a vertical stem, particularly in zone coverage, where you're in the deep half of the field, the chances of you getting beat on a comeback route are quite high. So some play calls from the offensive side are just naturally going to beat play calls on the defensive side. It's kind of like when Utah sends a 7-man pressure and the pressure forces Book out of the pocket. Like, that's not necessarily on the offensive line for allowing a guy or two to get through when it's a 7-on-5 blitz. So overall, I did really like what we got to see, and that's really, I think the main point that you're going to make is he wasn't really targeted all that much. And more, like I said a couple times, more often than not, that is a good thing. Didn't really get taken advantage of. He didn't really get beat. He gave up a couple of completions. But I think there's a difference here. I'm actually going to finish this kind of rant of sorts and kind of explain that. There's a difference between getting beat and allowing a completion, right? And I think burn rate is probably the closest thing that we have to seeing a objective view of getting beat, because not all completions are on the defensive back, and sometimes there is a perfect throw where the defender does almost all he can except for actually deflect the football. There are some plays where you literally just get beat by concept, and it's a play call thing where, like we talked about with the comeback example, if you're in deep zone, you're going to get beat on a comeback route, or if there's a screen and you don't jump it, you're playing off, you're naturally going to give up a catch if it's a screen route against the deep coverage, or like plays like that, right? So there's a difference between getting beaten and allowing a completion. I don't think we really saw Adebo, that's how I'm going to say his name, get beat. So that's a plus. Same thing, right? Did he really get beat? It's kind of hard to tell from the broadcast camera. Oh, good aggressiveness. I like how he closes that gap. Oh, number 4 got beat. That's kind of what I mean by getting beat, like what my number 4 did there. Oh, that was really fluid. Boom. Oh, that was really nice on Adebo's part. But yeah, like number 4, that's what I consider getting beat. Again, I really like what he did on that particular play. He played his role. Again with the comeback route. And of course, sometimes things will become a pattern, and that's where you have to work on it. Well, that was a nice read there by Herbert. I like the idea. Nice break. I like his aggressiveness downhill. I've said that probably 5 times, but it's definitely something I'm looking for. Same thing. Oh, yes. If all corners played like this, the world would be a better place. Could play like this, the world would be a better place. Oh, nice stuff. I don't know if he got it. Okay, they gave it to him, but... Nice. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, this is incredible. Watch this. He's gonna, now this isn't really a huge deal to a lot of other people, especially casuals, but as a Lions fan, I've been ingrained now in the system for 2 years of this map position run support corner thing. And basically, run support is a job for all 11 players on the football field. That includes corners. And Adebo here, boom, takes on this offensive lineman, and because of that, it allows 24 to make this play. Boom, aggressive downhill, attacks the LOS, and helps stuff this run for a loss. That is probably one of the best things that a corner can do. And oh, even better. Even back-to-back plays. Oh, yes. Fantastic work. Another thing. Even if this were a pass play or pass rush flex, right? Watch that first step. Boom. Doesn't sell it. Acts like he's in coverage. I'll call it acting, but he's selling. Basically is the word I'm trying to use here. He's selling the coverage. Bam. Explodes right off the snap. Bam. Attacks downhill. Great tackle behind the line of scrimmage for a loss. Excellent, excellent work. Love to see it. So, Lions fans, especially those of you guys who want to draft a corner early, that is something to look for sure. He is definitely a great fit for our particular. And again, unbelievable the consistency he's able to do this with for a corner. Boom. Oh my goodness. This is excellent. I'm giving him 10s in both categories, barring the rest of the scheme being a disaster. Nice job cutting underneath the block. Okay, a little bit risky to play off on 3rd and 3. Oh, that is beautiful. Watch this. Little bit of wasted motion, I will say that, so some of the body movement could be tightened up a little bit. Especially at the start here, right? Goes inside, then goes... That allows the receiver to get a little bit of separation, which causes him to be out of phase, right? So he gets caught a little bit angled inside, tries to readjust. And at this point in the play, he's a little bit out of phase because of what happened at the snap point. But the recovery speed, the pursuit, the angle he takes, the ball tracking to be able to time this correctly, and the motor that allowed him to stick with that play, hand usage as well to knock that free. The third final phase of that play he won very nicely. So not the best starting phase, that first phase, but that second phase was nice and that third phase was great. Oh, nice. Again, like the backside pursuit, he got stripped up by his own defender, but I really like the aggressiveness in that backside pursuit. Okay, at least brought him down. Okay, so taking an extra step. That's, again, like I talked about earlier, that's just probably going to happen sometimes. Even the top corners in the NFL, the Jalen Ramseys, get beat sometimes. And that's not necessarily getting beat either. He just takes an extra step, and that's still a contested catch. That's actually really good. And wow, this perfectly shows off his arm length. Look at that extension he's able to get with that right arm to try and deflect this pass, interfere with the passing lane, interrupt the passing lane. He's just a millisecond late. If he gets there even the blink of an eye faster, that's an incomplete pass. That was actually really nice coverage on second and third look. Oh, pump fake. Stuck with it. Okay. And again, you get to see the arm length. Unfortunately, he doesn't actually get his hand on the football, but I mean, he's definitely getting some extension. No doubt. Okay. Look at the motor. Other side of the field. And he's chasing down this play. He is literally the right boundary corner at the start of this play. On the right numbers. Now, granted, this is an extended play and they are motioning, so that is a factor. In fact, that is actually his original receiver that he was guarding on the outside. But regardless, he was still starting out on the boundary, and he's all the way in and eventually gets to the tackle point. That's a great motor for a corner. Oh, that's great. I don't know if they're going to throw that flag, but the patience is incredible there. He does a great job of mirroring the receiver. Boom. Nice arm lengthening extension. And great job enforcing the boundary. It could have been a little bit better in terms of actually enforcing the boundary, but I really like the idea, and he doesn't over aggress that particular move. Also, he turns his head. I didn't even notice that on first glance. So yeah, that probably shouldn't be a penalty, even if he is kind of faking it. He at least sells that he's turning his head. I think that was clean. Good call. Good pocket presence by Herbert. Okay, again, missed the tackle, but I don't really think that was so much a missed tackle as an angle issue. And I really like the aggressiveness. He's willing to play downhill. But look at the burst, right? The closing speed and the burst and explosiveness that he takes. He starts out this play about the 5 in deep coverage. And then bam, he's going to come all the way and close that gap in a second. That was really, really nice athleticism and ability and willingness to play downhill. Great tight coverage. sticks with him, stays in phase, doesn't get out in front, but he uses his arm length effectively, right? Boom. He actually does get out in front from this particular angle. And look at the timing. Oh, the timing was perfect. Right? I talked earlier and a couple plays ago about how if you were just a blink of an eye sooner on that getting that hand in the spot in the correct position, he would have deflected the pass. In this particular play, he times this right on. You cannot time that pass deflection any better than that. That's probably still an incompletion regardless of if he gets the hand on the ball, because I don't think the receiver is catching that, even just straight up if that's not deflected. But that's really, really nice PD. Same thing. Excellent. Good job turning ahead to track the ball. But then he goes to make the play on the ball without interfering at the catch point. So if they're going to get him for anything, which they shouldn't, and I don't think they did, it would have been the holding at this point in the play. But you cannot call that pass interference when the corner is using both hands to play the ball. Excellent. If anything, that could have been OPI. Because he's trying to attempt to catch the ball. 4th and goal, need to score. Looked him off. Pick. Deserved win for his team. So, with that being said, that was very fun. I definitely enjoyed that. Obviously, corners, well, not obviously. For those of you guys who are new to the channel, corners are my favorite position to watch out of all of them. I think I spelled that right, didn't I? Oh, just with an O. Oh, there we go. Small keyboard. So, he is from Stanford. And here we go. So these are some of the things that I was noticing about, talking about, all that good stuff. Noticing and talking about throughout the video. Some of these things I didn't really talk about, but I'll expand more on as we go through them. Footwork could probably be a little bit more efficient in terms of motion. So probably can get a couple of those things worked out, but it's not egregious. I might even bump that down to a 7 just to set precedent, but it's not horrible is the main point. It's something that can be worked on and everything, but there's not really... Basically, it's not top of the line caliber where you want to see it for an NFL corner, is really what I'm getting at. Fluidity of motion and athleticism. I'm going to go with an 8. He does look really athletic, but I would like to see his upper body be a little bit more fluid in transitioning, as well as the feet. So it's really that transitioning. I don't really expect a good MJO from him based on what we saw today. Obviously, there's a lot of time to improve that stuff. He probably has since those games, even to date, but something that can be worked on a little bit. Now, this is good stuff. Double tens, both categories. I talked a lot about this already. Really impressive in run support and tackling both. Very effective tackler. And brought his guy down to the ground consistently, not even just out of bounds, but to the ground. And that run support, that willingness to be aggressive, that engaging blocks, the filling of gaps, all of that stuff, top of the line, exactly what you want to see from a corner in every way possible. Ball checking and playmaking. Probably could have gotten his head around sooner more often than not. Did not see an interception, I don't believe. So for now, I'm going to give him an 8 there. And that's another thing that could probably go up over the course of time as well. Ratings of coverage. We did get to see him play both soft and hard coverage. And he wasn't really targeted all that much either, which is generally a good sign in terms of effectiveness. So, with that being said, I'm going to go with a 9 for that category also. Patience and positioning. So this was really fun to watch, especially for the run support factors. he did a great job of getting in position and recognizing where he was on the field. So, with that in mind, as well as the patience, he didn't over aggress in press coverage, and he read and reacted to receivers' routes very effectively. So with that in mind, there's probably a little bit of stuff that could get covered up, but I think it's close enough to a 10 where I feel comfortable saying that he was in position a very good, consistent portion of the time. Enforcing the boundary, something that we did get to see a little bit of, but probably someplace that needs to be a little bit more consistent and utilized more frequently. So for now, I'm going to give him an 8 in that particular area, but it's still a decent aspect that he can utilize and has in his back pocket. Discipline and route recognition, this is probably one of the bigger areas that we need to see improvement from. I'm going to go with a 7 for now. Would like to see him recognize those comebacks a little bit sooner, those hitches. I would like to see him recognize those slants and things like that. And part of that comes with film work. Part of that comes with experience. All of that good stuff. So it's not the end of the world. That's something that can be improved fairly easily at the NFL level. And then finally, miscellaneous and intangibles. I don't remember seeing anything about character or injuries. Multi-sport kid. Played defensive end, okay. Oh, his older brother, okay. Yeah, that doesn't have any character injuries, so I'm going to go with a 9. So, with that being said, if we assume that 8 is the average, that's a -1, +1, +3, +4, +5, +6, +5, +6. So that's actually 86, which is the second highest grade I have, just behind Bryce Hall. And also that is a clear first round grade, so he gets a green label. And I think that, again, this is what separates him from Jalen Johnson, right? I just recorded my Jalen Johnson video, so I'm going to bring this up again. But look at the difference in the run grades. And part of this is because, again, as a Lions fan, I place a lot of value on run support. But that's something that NFL teams are going to consider and be looking at, and that's something that I think that you guys should be considering and looking at as well. Now, a 10 might be a little bit high, but I feel like that accurately represents where he is in terms of consistency and the ability to do so. So, and again, a 3 might be a little bit low. I think the main point I'm trying to make is that the difference in them comes from those two categories. And that's a 5, that's an 8-point difference. And the difference between them is 7 points. So Jalen Johnson can even get 9s, and double 9s. That would be make up 6 points plus 4 points. Yeah, that'd be +6 and +4 for him. So that's +10 if he could get double 9s. +10 would be 90 or an 89. That would be cornerback 1 if he improved in that category. Adebo has a little bit more work to do in terms of the fluidity and the footwork and all that stuff, as well as the recognition also. But that's the biggest difference for them, and the enforcing the boundary I'd like to see more consistently. But yeah, I mean, even just to look at this stuff, Jalen a little bit more effective in the footwork, which would be the difference otherwise in terms of pro Jalen Johnson. But 10-9 versus 9-10, 8-10, 9-9. The main difference is that run support. So, with that being said, I definitely do like Paulson Adebo very, very much. He was definitely a very fun watch, especially as someone who likes the run defense aspect of the cornerback position. And it was very, very interesting to see him deserve the hype. I think that he definitely is a first-round caliber player. And while he does have a couple of things that could be improved, like every prospect does, there are things that can be corrected fairly easily with good coaching. So, with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, learned a thing or two. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. But for now, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace out.